In ancient China, the great Emperor Khan watches as his young daughter, Princess Turandot, runs joyfully into the throne room. In her playfulness, she stumbles on a tear in the royal carpet and bursts into tears. But this is no ordinary carpet. It is a map of the empire itself. And the gap in the fabric represents Malvia, a small and peaceful neighboring kingdom that has not yet pledged allegiance to Khan's empire. Determined to complete his vision of unity, Khan dispatches his most trusted general, Boyan, to Malvia to establish relations. Malvia is a land of tradition and guardianship, where the royal family carries 3 sacred bracelets. The king wears one, the queen another, and the final one rests with their young prince, Calaf. These heirlooms are more than jewelry, they hold ancient magic. As the bracelets rest safely within Malvia, young Calaf trains under Master Zhou, learning the art of the sword with admirable skill. Yet his childhood peace shatters when Boyan's army storms the kingdom. Arrows rain from the skies, flames engulf the castle walls, and Malvia's defenders fall one by one. Though they fight bravely, the Malvians are no match for Boyan's ruthless forces. Blood floods the palace halls until silence falls over the ruined kingdom. Among the slain king and queen, the invaders discover the 3 bracelets. Instead of honoring their sacred warning, Boyan delivers them as a tribute to Emperor Khan. Days later, the empire celebrates Princess Turandot's birthday. She sits surrounded by extravagant gifts, but it is the bracelets that capture her attention. Delighted, she slips 2 of them onto her arm and offers the 3rd to her father. But instead, Khan places it on her wrist as well, unknowingly binding her to a curse that will shape her life. The bracelets tighten violently, fusing into her skin as Turandot cries out in agony. Her vision begins to fade until the vibrant colors of the world drain into lifeless gray. When Khan approaches with a knife to free her, she looks upon his face and sees not her father, but a skeleton. Terrified, she faints. The high priest arrives with a dire prophecy. The curse can only be broken by a future suitor who dares to solve 3 riddles. Should Turandot reach the age of 18 without the curse being lifted, her heart will turn to ice, and madness will consume her mind. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Zhou has escaped with Calaf, who has lost all his memories. After changing the boy's name to Blue Eyes to protect him, Zhou brings him to his hometown where he reunites with his family, and Blue Eyes immediately befriends Zha's daughter. Many years later, Blue Eyes is a teenager determined to learn the art of fireworks. Zha's daughter Liuer has become a sister to him. One morning, she plays a prank on him that ruins his firework and finishes his last gunpowder. To apologize, Liuer takes Blue Eyes to the mines, where they sneak around to watch how the masters create amazing fireworks that form shapes like a phoenix. Unfortunately, they're seen by a guard, so they have to start running through the mine. Whenever the guards try to stop them, they push them away and jump on the furniture, trying to slow them down. Suddenly, the guards are about to catch up to them, but the firework master throws a few sparks at the guards, allowing the duo to escape through a hidden tunnel. At the palace, Boyan checks on Turandot, who has grown into a beautiful yet cold princess. Khan wants Boyan to train her, so Turandot has no choice but to fight him. Because of the curse, Turandot has special abilities and can move at great speed. So at first, Boyan can't land a single hit. However, when he breaks her loom to grab a wood piece, she begins attacking him directly and proves her swordsmanship is still weak. Offended by his criticisms, Turandot runs outside at super speed and waits for Boyan to cut his cheek, so he changes the wood for his actual sword. By looking at the reflection on the metal, Boyan manages to grab Turandot, quickly disarming her. At that moment, Blue Eyes and Lure come out of the tunnel, which takes them to the palace garden. Blue Eyes misunderstands the situation and comes in the princess's defense using her sword. Thanks to his master's teachings, Blue Eyes offers a very good fight, and Boyan recognizes it as Xiao's style. Both men continue to exchange hits, and Boyan's experience comes through when he finally overpowers Blue Eyes. But when he's about to stop him, Lior tries to stop him with her whip. Boyan easily pushes it away and brings down his sword, but Turandot inserts her arm and the sword breaks against the bracelets. Then a bunch of guards appear to arrest the intruders, but Turandot says they're with her and announces Turandot will train her from now on. Soon, the 2 teens begin, training with their swords together every day, and a bond between them grows. Turandot is very impressed by Blue Eyes because he can keep up with her regardless of her curse. One afternoon, while they're jumping around the palace ground to train, Blue Eyes accidentally touches the bracelets and is shocked to see flashbacks from his homeland's invasion, although he doesn't know what they mean. Sometime later, Blue Eyes misses Turandot so much that he visits her during a full moon, which is the only night he's supposed to stay away. When he sneaks into her room, he's shocked to find her tied up by multiple pieces of fabric and starts cutting them, ignoring her warnings to leave her alone. The bracelets are digging into her skin more than usual, and as soon as she's free, her eyes change and cause her to see Blue Eyes as a skeleton. Soon, the curse takes over, and Turandot turns the fabric into a weapon to try to attack Blue Eyes, who speaks to her with sincere words while blocking her weapon with his sword. His words help her snap out of it, but she's angry because he broke her rule and almost died, so she asks him to never come again. A few days later, Blue Eyes becomes a royal guard and is part of the team that protects Prince Yuthong of Lampfu when he comes to visit their town for a festival. Turandot is still locked up in the palace, so she keeps herself busy by using her powers on the looms to work faster. Back in town, Blue Eyes is finally off duty, so he enjoys the festival with Liwer and her friend Yuang. Yuthong visits Turandot pretending he's here for the riddles. However, he takes out a dagger and tries to kill her for what happened to his brother. Turandot moves fast and catches the dagger when he throws it at her. Then she commands her threads to knock down the bodyguard and capture Yuthong, reminding him that his brother had accepted the contract. Later, during a public ceremony, Khan announces he'll forgive Yuthong if he's capable of answering the riddles. Blue Eyes is working as a guard and watches the sun reflect on the bracelets, which causes him to have another flashback of the massacre, full of blood, violence, and bodies. Wanting answers, Blue Eyes comes forward and asks Yuthong to let him answer the riddles. Khan agrees to give him a chance, and the High Priest starts the ceremony, explaining that fireworks will go off if Blue Eyes gives the correct answer. If he fails, he'll be executed. Turandot comes closer, and Blue Eyes admits he's doing this to save her. But she just responds with the riddle that the bracelet whispers into her mind. What is born of darkness and dies at dawn? Blue Eyes concentrates on finding the answer and has a vision of his mother guiding him through the castle. Then, it changes to the day of the massacre, during which the king shows up severely wounded. The guards can't keep the invaders out, so the queen grabs all the bracelets and forces them on her husband's arm, saying there's no other choice. While the king absorbs the new power, the queen tries to fight, only to be pushed away. At that moment, the curse finally takes over the king, and he grabs a sword to fight. In the present, a bell announces Blue Eyes' time is over, and since he doesn't have the answer, he's taken away to be executed. As he's carried to his death, Blue Eyes has another vision, and sees his mother telling him to leave with Zhou because he's the kingdom's only hope. Seeing it as a sign, he yells that the answer is hope, causing one of the bracelets to break. At that moment, fireworks start exploding in the sky, confirming his answer is correct. Afterward, Boyan steals a piece of the broken bracelet and orders his men to not let the fireworks explode, even if Blue Eyes gets another answer right. The next day, under the rain, Turandot shares the second riddle. Women are beautiful for it, men are unsettled for it, yet they die together when it turns into unbreakable ice. Blue Eyes concentrates, and another vision shows him that his father sees everyone as skeletons, causing him to lose control to the point he kills his own men. Zhe takes little Calaf away, and the queen jumps in to protect them, only to end up killed by the king. In the present, Blue Eyes announces that the answer is blood, and another bracelet quickly breaks at the palace. The servants try to shoot a firework with an arrow, but the rain only makes it fall in a puddle. To make matters worse, Boyan's men show up to stop them from trying again. While a fight ensues in the palace, it's announced in the ceremony that Blue Eyes will be executed. Zhou suddenly yells that the rain may be interrupting the fireworks, so Boyan decides to fight him as he reveals they're brothers. Yuthong, his bodyguard, Liu and her friends proceed to fight the guards so Zhou can confront Boyan. At the palace, Turandot uses her magic to kill all the soldiers, quickly saving the servants before finding the arrow. Turandot flies down on the platform and announces Blue Eyes gave the right answer, so he's freed. The next day, Blue Eyes and Liu are ready on their horses. Suddenly, they're surrounded by Boyan's men, who start chasing them through an open field. Boyan's men are stopped by Turandot, who disarms all the soldiers and scares them away. Then, Blue Eyes tries to escape too, but Turandot blocks his way and causes him to fall. Her servants capture Li and surround Blue Eyes with their horses, hitting him a few times to make their point. When Turandot demands an explanation, Blue Eyes admits he regrets accepting the riddle contract and challenges her to a fight. In just a few moves, Turandot overpowers Blue Eyes and starts reciting the last riddle. It can give you freedom just as it can enslave you. You light the ice and you get more coldness in return. As Blue Eyes takes the chance to escape her grasp, Turandot begs for help, but he refuses to do it and steps forward, causing her sword to stab him in the chest. Blue Eyes whispers her name before passing out, and suddenly Turandot's arm starts hurting. It turns out her name is the answer, and the bracelet breaks, making her faint too. Turandot wakes up, and her skin loses its paleness as color finally returns to her eyes, allowing her to see the beauty of nature. Sometime later, the royal medic is taking care of Blue Eyes and explains to Khan that the boy survived because his organs are on the other side. Turandot comes to visit him and announces the next day is their wedding, but Blue Eyes tells her to learn who he really is first, or he won't marry her, while Khan sends his Men out to discover Blue Eye's identity, Boyan gets a piece of every bracelet and gives to the high priest, who throws them in the small lake to start the ritual. Boyan steps into the water and the dark magic takes over his body, filling him with great power. Once the ritual is over, Boyan tests the results with his sword, but all his wounds instantly heal. Then he stabs the high priest for knowing too much. Meanwhile, Boyan visits Zoe to ask him about Blue Eyes. Zoe refuses to talk and a fight ensues, but no matter how many times Zoe hurts him, Boyan's wounds always heal up. Desperate to survive, Zoe escapes through the window. At the same time, the high priest arrives at the mines to beg for help. Moments later, Blue Eyes tries to enter his home, only to be captured by Boyan and his men. When they're about to take him away, mysterious soldiers arrive and kill some of Boyan's men. Boyan catches it with his hand and threatens to kill Blue Eyes, knowing the archer is Turandot. The next morning, Blue Eyes is taken to see Khan, who decides to free him even if he's the enemy, as thanks for saving his daughter. Blue Eyes still wants revenge, and when Boyan tries to shut him up, he's interrupted by Turandot, who brings the high priest and the truth. The day Boyan's army visited Malvia, Khan's orders were to only establish peaceful relations. However, Boyan thought Khan got soft and that they should be conquering more land, which his soldiers agreed with. Then he killed the envoy and made it look like Malvia did it to start a war. Back in the present, Boyan confirms the story is true and uses a piece of armor to kill the priest before calling for his soldiers, who immediately storm the palace and kill the servants.